In the chat, please just put your location and what's one thing that you would love to get out of this workshop, or what's one area of life that a deeper connection to purpose might make for you. So for me, I'll go ahead and model that. So San Diego. I just did some purpose work myself, which it's an ongoing lifelong practice you've never done, as you may or may not know, on Tuesday. And so what I'm sitting with right now is just focusing on my white paper and a purpose program delivering for enterprises. So yeah, please just drop your name, location, and what's one thing you'd love to get out of this? Because I want to be as responsive as possible to what you're sitting with. Who's going to be the first brave soul to say, I live in London and I want to have a job I love, or whatever it is. Career change. Excellent. Thanks, Mark and Matt. Anyone else here into aligning their purpose with their career? I can only see, yeah, one. Yeah. Fulfillment. Productive day. Discover my passion. From Peru. Yay. A job with purpose. Frankfurt. Fullest potential. Stop hiding, playing small, serving others. Hey, Denise from San Diego. Better focus for work. Wonderful. Awesome. Well, keep putting them in there, and I'll, as I'm talking, please, as you're inspired, like, oh yeah, I want to understand how my relationship can be more purposeful, or I want to know what my legacy is, whatever that is for you. So I'm Brandon Peele, and I live in San Diego. I'm crazy about purpose. I had the pleasure to meet Mo up in Oakland at I think it was a TEDx event, Oakland, wasn't it, Mo? I think so. This is a few years back. Saudi Arabia, wow, so neat. In Montreal. I've never talked to anybody from Saudi Arabia. This is so cool, Nikki. Great to be connected to you. And my love for this subject, for this, what I believe is our birthright, came from growing up without purpose. I was raised outside of Chicago, Illinois, and there wasn't a big purpose conversation, especially in the 80s. If any of you, was there a purpose conversation where you all grew up? Probably not, I'm guessing. It's a pretty recent thing, and you may even say a very California thing as well. So I grew up with a lot of the same window dressing that maybe many of you did. Went to a good school, started my career in professional services, investment banking, venture capital. And as I started to look around at the other adults, or at least people who I thought were adults, I didn't see any aliveness. I didn't see anybody who really gave a damn about anything they did. They're just kind of going through the motions, just pot-bellied, cube-farmed dads pushing lawnmowers, moms going to PTA meetings and soccer practice. And it was like, I just kind of looked around, and maybe it's a Gen X thing. You're like, suburbia is bullshit. Like, there's nothing real, imaginative, creative, important happening here. And, and if you live in suburbia, there are wonderful things about it. I live in a fairly suburban urban neighborhood myself. And so I'm not hating on the suburbs too much, but as a kid, as a young man, I was like, I don't like it here. And I don't want to become partner at a professional services firm, move back to the suburbs with some poor woman, make more babies, and then move to Florida and die. Like, I'm like, this has been done before. It's boring. Why are we doing this? Is it just to have nuanced opinions about the latest restaurant or what XYZ sports team did last week? I mean, who cares? So that was that was my upbringing. It was safe, prosperous, abundant, but there was nothing real happening in my judgment. So like a lot of folks, I turned to drugs and alcohol. Anyone else try to fill their purpose-sized hole with a bunch of booze and pills and powders and all that nonsense that is readily available in your 20s? So, and I did it with a pretty uncommon fervor. By the time I was 27, I'd been arrested in 6 different states in the United States. No international arrests, thank God. But in my late 20s, I began to kind of pull the thread, began to do some personal development work. When I was in graduate school at Columbia, I did a personal development program that just blew my mind. I mean, and I got really how everything I was being groomed for, to be this captain of industry, to, be prosperous, move to the suburbs, recreate, and die in Florida. Like all of that had no meaning for me. I needed to find out what was mine. And so over the next 7 years, after school, I moved out to the Bay Area and just threw myself. So it's the San Francisco Bay Area, great place to do the whole self-discovery thing. London's not bad either, but San Francisco, it's basically like, it's a candy store for personal and spiritual development. Did a bunch of landmark work, therapy, hallucinogens, men's work, medicine ceremonies, Burning Man, going to India, meditation retreats, just the whole, like, somebody tell me what the hell I'm doing here. Like, I don't know. Where are the adults? Where are the elders? Where are the shamans? Where are the people who can help me become a grown-ass man? And in my early 30s, I had the privilege of meeting one of these people as a purpose guide. And I worked with him for 6 months, and it was hands down the most powerful work I'd ever done. And that's basically, to sum it all up, all I really care about is helping other people experience the same birthright, divine right, if you will. I think it's a civil right. I mean, why the hell are we making more humans if we're not allowing them to become themselves? I mean, to me, it sounds exploitive. Just thinking about what's going on with higher ed right now, all these kids thinking about going to school, they don't know their purpose. And maybe they wrote some essays, but they're about to make a $200,000 investment. And they don't have the slightest clue who they are. That to me sounds like exploitation. So it's important, right? And we're going to go into your purpose today. So we're going to get to do some exercises on your vision for the world, your personal values, and we're going to smush them together, do a little purpose Mad Libs, and create a purpose statement. Now, you'll be able to use your vision as you think about your next career move. You'll be able to use your values to make your current work more purposeful. So there's a notion that you can actually job hack. Make your current you could be working at a convenience store, digging ditches, shoveling shit. It doesn't matter. You can bring your vision and your values into everything. And you're going to leave here with a tool to do that. And then at the end, we can stay connected. I'm part of this great community called Bison Medicine that is a bunch of purpose crazies and purpose-driven professionals like yourself, and we support each other in living our purpose. So let's dive in. I want to first just talk about what purpose is, but just I'd love to just see your thoughts about what you think purpose is. Just not your own purpose, but just what does the word mean? Just drop it right in the chat. I want to see what just comes up for you, because it could mean a lot of different things. Some folks just think it's like a goal. Like I have a goal to walk to the end of my sidewalk and walk back. Some folks maybe relate to it more spiritually, like it is my connection to the divine. Some folks might relate to it as like the key to their fullest potential. Yes, beautiful, Shannon. How I can be meaningful to myself and others, what I strive for, a reason to have a fulfilled life, feeling more aligned with who I am and what I do. the point where happiness and goals meet. That's beautiful. A colleague of mine said, and I'm still like sitting with this beautiful definition. He said, purpose is the place where spirituality and business meet. And I'm like, oh my God, I've been studying this, writing books on it, doing keynotes. And I'm like, yes, you're right. That is exactly what it is. So these are great. And they're all true. And if you want to kind of go deeper into like really the nitty gritty specifics of what purpose is, how it shows up, and the science of it, I'm going to touch on a little bit of it, but scienceofpurpose.org, I'm just going to drop it right here in the chat. You'll see a lot of related definitions. And so the way that I hold it, and many people in my craft hold it, is that it is a transcendent identity. So it's bigger than your job, bigger than your ego, bigger than your gender, sexuality, ethnicity, age. It's almost ineffable, meaning like you can't really fully put words on it. I mean, we're gonna do some work to approximate it, to get to a place, but it's, in a sense, it's almost like it's more of a who than a what. So you can kind of think of it like it's your number one love relationship. So we're actually in congruous with our purpose or our soul, however you want to say it, all the time. And it's always revealing new things to us. You know, as I mentioned on Tuesday, I did some purpose work myself. I've been doing this work for a decade now because it's always revealing more of itself to me. So that's my invitation to all of you, is to think of this as a transcendent identity that's bigger than your life, bigger than your relationships, your career. It's bigger than anything. And as many of you said, it gives you meaning. It fulfills you. It provides guidance. So the way I like to talk about it is that there's four things that it does. It reveals really who you are beyond your name, your identity, your ego, your wounds, your coping mechanisms. It aligns your life, because once you get clear on it, you can say, that's not purpose, this is. So there's a kind of an internal integrity function of purpose. It says, Brandon, you're better than this. Cut the shit. You know, do this, don't do that. It also guides you. Like I said, it's a who. So it's kind of like sitting with you shoulder to shoulder, like looking out at your future. And it says, walk down that street. So it's, in a sense, it's an access point for intuition. You know, it doesn't say walk in front of a bus, but it says, have a conversation with this person, read this book, show up at this happiness planner community workshop, you know, whatever it is, it's always guiding you. So some of you were pulled and guided. And the last piece, it's the access to fulfillment. So the fourth is fulfillment. So we got reveal, align, guide, fulfill. You cannot be fulfilled by something that is not your purpose. You can be gratified by beers and pizza and one night stands and, you know, whatever. But fulfillment actually means that part of who you are gets self-expressed in a deep way. So you become fulfilled. The difference between fulfillment and gratification is that every time you do something that's fulfilling, it increases the amount of pleasure, like personal pleasure. Whereas gratification, you know, beer is a perfect example. You know, good, bad. Like the more you drink, the less effect it has. It's like diminishing returns, whereas fulfillment is increasing returns. So with that in mind, I just want to share one screen on some of the reasons that purpose is a good idea, not just because it feels good, because we know it's possible, we may sense it's our divine right, but there's a lot of science that is saying that purpose is actually like the key to the good life, like up there with a good night's rest, eating well, moving your body every day, maybe meditating. So let me just share my screen real quick. Where'd it go? All right. Now you're in my email. Welcome to my email. No, not that. I can't see. There it is. Okay. View, present. So purpose shows up everywhere. It's not just your career, although many of you are here with that question. But in your career, it's correlated with high levels of income and wealth. It's correlated with being a more effective leader, because if you know who you are, you can inspire others, and you can also stand for their purpose. It's correlated with higher levels of engagement and productivity at work. So when you know your purpose, regardless of whether you're shoveling shit or working for the UN, you're more engaged. You actually get 5 times as much done as someone who's not. So just imagine that. Finishing work on Monday and having a whole week's worth of work done. For organizations, many of you may be in leadership positions, but it's a really good thing to activate at the enterprise level. That's my day job. I work at Ion Learning, and we do this for organizations, activate purposeful and inclusive cultures. So organizations that unlock purpose, they have a triple growth rate of other organizations. They outperform the market 15 to 1, and the people are more fulfilled and they have longer tenures. Now, in society, this has amazing benefits. People are twice as likely to learn, they're more engaged in their communities, and they actually crave diversity, crave environments that welcome everybody. So it's kind of a gateway drug to having a more inclusive, tolerant world as well. Now, it shows up in your body in really beautiful ways too. So people who have higher purpose scores, so there's a score that they use then to correlate with all these other outcomes, they live 7 years longer. And the reason for this is their body produces less cortisol. So because they know who they are, the ups and downs of life don't trigger the stress response in the way that they would otherwise do without a sense of purpose. And so your body's pumping out less cortisol, which is not damaging your tissues the way that cortisol is designed to do. So they've shown that people who know the purpose, their telomeres on their DNA strands have greater integrity, their cellular walls have greater integrity, and they end up living 7 years longer. Now, these aren't 7 years staring at the wall of the retirement home. These are like 7 years of remarkable contribution, fulfillment, creativity, joy, intimacy, dynamic relationships. I mean, these are people who are turned on. These are not people who are just like, drooling off the side of their chin. You're more likely to be happy. And then it's beautiful actually in a relationship setting. So my wife and I, we've both done purpose work. I was attracted to her before I knew that she had her purpose, of course. But what the science has found is that when people know their purpose, they're regarded as more attractive. So they take people who are rated in the same level of attractiveness, and then they have them take purpose scores and have other people then rate their attractiveness. And they find that people who know their purpose they're just full of more vibrancy. They've got more to say. They're up to a bigger game. And people who know the purpose also have more pleasurable sex. There's science on this, which is amazing. So I will stop the share there. And again, you can go to sciencepurpose.org and see all these institutions who are doing this research. Some of them are the most respected in the world. So all that being said, I just want to pause and just feel free to take yourself off mute, or if you want to drop a question in the chat, like any questions so far on what purpose is, why it matters. Oh, that's great. A calling, being the best version of yourself. Fulfilled life. Excellent. Unique gifts and talents. Yes, all these things. Let's see if there's a question here. Oh, how did I even find my own purpose? So I mentioned earlier that I worked with a guide in 2011. And so I was led through this 6-month process, and it's basically the same process that I use and many of my colleagues use. But yeah, it reveals all that. It reveals your vision, your gifts, what's next. So your immediate near-term mission, your virtues, your values, all of that. And you can work with a guide. You can also work with shamans. So if you have access to intact indigenous cultures where they have shamans who can help you do a ceremony around this, you can do it there. Vision quests are also very effective, these kind of 10-day sojourns in the desert. But for a lot of folks, that's not something they can easily do. So we're going to drop in right now and start deepening into your own purpose by looking at two pieces of it. So the model I work with actually has 10 critical elements of purpose. We're gonna just work on two because we only have 38 minutes left together. But so I want to invite all of you to close your eyes and to adopt a meditative posture where your shoulders are over your hips, your ears over your shoulders. Just bring your awareness to your breath, the rising and falling of your belly. If you have any residual tension that didn't get worked out in yoga, I invite you just to picture it melting, like as if it could just melt and drip right off of your body onto the ground. I invite you to picture yourself walking down a long hallway. It has browning linoleum floors, cinder block walls that have been painted 15 times. And above you, you can hear the buzz of the fluorescent lamps. So as you're walking down this hallway, you notice that you're passing doors. You can kind of see that there's some writing on them. As you come up to the next set of doors, you focus on one, and you see that these are actually the names of doctors. And soon you come up to a door on your left that is open, and you walk in. Sure enough, you are in a doctor's waiting room all by yourself. It has that brown high traffic carpet, coffee table, light blue vinyl chairs. So you decide to have a seat. And in the corner is a television tuned to your least favorite cable news network. And on the coffee table in front of you, you see 15 magazines. As your eyes fall upon the headlines of the magazines and the irritating voice of the announcers talk to you about their opinions about the world. You get clear that the world is messed up. It doesn't really work. And each headline, each comment, you can feel your heart breaking. All the unnecessary suffering. In the United States, we just passed 100,000 coronavirus deaths. Did that shit even need to happen? You feel your heart actually breaking open. The betrayal, the needless suffering, the exploitation and oppression. So as you're ready, go ahead and open your eyes. and get out something to write with and to write on. And write the first 5 things that come to mind when you think about what breaks your heart in the world. What breaks your heart? And these can be things in your local community. This could be things like homelessness, disease, poverty, or like big issues, global issues around climate change. Maybe sex trafficking. Just write down the first 5 things that come to mind. And I encourage you not to obsess over them. Just write one word or phrase for each, because literally you could write for hours. Just the first 5 that come to mind. Don't criticize or judge it, just write it down. Maybe you have suffering of loved ones. Maybe they've been impacted physically or economically by quarantine or the COVID virus. Let's take another 30 seconds. Just get 5. Okay, so now I invite you just to kind of shake it off. Thank you, Valerie. Just whatever that, like being in that darkness, that just move your body, shake it out. Because it's important to feel those things and to sense into them, but we also don't want to be burdened too heavily right now. We can pick the burden back up in 31 minutes. And Valerie said, mental illness, grief, sibling loss, cancer, CEN. I'm not sure what CEN means. Anyone know? So what I invite you to do now is to imagine, oh, you're most certainly welcome to share your list, but I actually want to, we're going to ask you to share here in a second something else, but feel free if you feel called. But we'll have an opportunity to share here really shortly. So I invite you to consider that you are the benevolent despot of this planet. And the job 1 is you eradicate these 5 things. You heal them. What sort of planet would you have created? So if we would have healed mental illness, healed grief, sibling loss, cancer, what kind of planet would that be? So we're looking at the inverse of that planet. So when I think about the inverse of mental illness, I think of flourishing. I think of creativity, joy, grief, like the inverse of grief, maybe excitement, maybe celebration. So I invite you to write down the words that come up, like what kind of planet would either heal all these things or make those things impossible from the start. What kind of planet would that be? What words would you use to describe that planet? It might be loving, prosperous, safe, connected, peaceful. Now I want you to take a stab at adding or turning us into a sentence saying, I create a world of A, B, and C. You know, what is that world? So it's just one sentence. I create a world of peace, purpose, prosperity, or love, connection, creativity, whatever it is for you. Just I create a world of. And I would actually love to hear some voices here. I would love to hear one of you share what came up for you, this first vision. What is this vision? I invite you to take yourself off mute and just pop in. Who wants to share their vision?
Hi, I'm Mark from London.
Great.
My vision for my world was what I put down: connection, love, happiness, as sort of, as a sort of antidote for what I wrote down as misery, cancer, loneliness. They're my three main things. So connection, love, and happiness.
Connection, love, and happiness. Does anyone else stand for that world? Show of hands.
Yeah, very similar. I create a world of love, connection, and self-acceptance.
Love, connection, and self-acceptance. I stand for that world. I mean, how amazing would the world be if people felt connected and accepted themselves?
Mm-hmm.
Just think about that. Think about all the bullshit we'd avoid if people accepted themselves, if they felt truly connected to one another. I mean, it would be a game changer. We wouldn't need half of this shit that we need to fix the problems of lack of self-acceptance and lack of connection. I mean, it's amazing. It's beautiful. I would love to hear another one. Who else wants to pipe in and share their vision? Oh, here's Sharon. I create a world of understanding, equality, and creativity that allows the self to be free and expressive to one's own desires. Beautiful. I create a world of love, connection, empowerment, and learning. Excellent. A conscious, connected, and loving world. Beautiful. So please keep sharing them, and I'm going to share just a quick story. So in November, I got a chance to do some similar work up in a prison near Seattle. And, I'm this white kid from the suburbs. Like, what I think about prison, I think about like Oz, like it's bad. Like, and I am freaked out. I'm going through the security, the background checks, walking in the yard. And I'm like, okay, this is we're going to do purpose work here. Like, let's do it. And so I entered this room with 60 other inmates. And we do this exercise. And the complete unbounded joy that they have for a world that many of them are never going to get to see. Some of them are, have life sentences. They're never going to see it, but they're lit up when they think about the world that they're creating. So I invite you to consider that no matter what we've done in our past, each day we start newly. We can live our vision. Some of these folks will get out in 5 years, start careers, start businesses, whatever, to fulfill in that vision. But some of them are going to be right there in that cell, living their vision, finding a way to make it happen in their own way, in the ways that they can. I create a world of love, freedom, and connection. Everyone's visions are beautiful. Yes, they are. I create a world of love, curiosity, mindfulness, acceptance, and purpose. Yes. Beautiful. So you might be wondering, like, if this is in everybody's heart, why the hell is the world so messed up? So I assert it's because we haven't done this very exercise. Because when we get connected to like the beauty that's in our own hearts, we can see that in others. They might not look like us. They might not go to the same pubs we go to. They might not vote for the same people, but it's in there. If it's in there in those inmates, it's in there in the Republican Party. It's absolutely in there. You know it's in there. Thank you, C. Because no one has had a spiritual experience or hit rock bottom. Yeah. So now we have a connection to vision, and your vision, you know, like all parts of purpose, will continue to evolve and update. So there might be words that become more evocative, some words that lose their potency. So keep it fresh. You know, you want to always revisit, like, is this, or, you know, sometimes you'll hear somebody say a word like, yes, that's the word. That's the word that captures the thing that's underneath all the other words. Like for me, that's flourishing. Because I think about peaceful, creativity, prosperous, abundant. I'm like, flourish, 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 flourish. But yours might be something else. It could be awakened, or, you know, fulfilled potential, whatever it is, whatever's true for you. So now we're gonna switch gears and work on another piece of our purpose. So again, I'm gonna invite you all to close your eyes and come back into a meditative place. So shoulders over hips, ears over shoulders. Again, bring your awareness back to your breath. Moving your intention into the center of your heart. I invite you to ask yourself, who do I admire? Who do I respect and admire? Whose heart makes my heart happy that they exist, or that they did exist? With the next breath, go ahead and open your eyes. Now I want you to write down 5 people who you deeply respect and admire. These can be people in your life, or they can not be. They can be historical figures, prominent people. They can be alive, they can be dead, doesn't matter. Just the first 5 that come to mind. Again, we don't need to overthink this, just, you know, blurt it out. I think about Oprah, I think about Teddy Roosevelt, I think about Eileen Fisher of Eileen Fisher Clothing. I think of the New Zealand Prime Minister, Jacinda Ardern. Martin Luther King. My mom. My grandma. Just write down the first 5 that come to mind. Oh, thank you. Mother, father, brother, ex who saved my life, sponsor in London. Beautiful. Thank you, Cece. So just take another 30 seconds. Some of you, it might be hard, because sometimes the people we counted on most let us down. But it might need to expand your circle of inquiry. Maybe it's a friend who was there for you when you were down, or somebody who created something so magnificent. Maybe it was the best meal you ever had, or your favorite piece of art. Like, wow, Michelangelo created the David. That's nuts. How did he do that? You may not even know him. He's just like, wow, he contributed. Thank you, Valerie. your grandma, Jay Shetty, Lewis Howes, Marie Forleo, your business partner. So now for each of those 3 people, or each of those 5 people, I want you to write down 3 words that describe them. What is it about them that you respect and admire? Ooh, Margaret Atwood, Catherine the Great. I don't know who Earthling Ed is, but he sounds awesome. Grandma, English teacher Nicole. So go ahead and write down 3 words about each of them. What is it about them you respect? Maybe they were loving, accomplished, had high integrity, selfless. Maybe they transcended or overcame some giant obstacle. Just the first 3 words that come to mind for each person. Take 1 more minute. Just write them down as fast as you can. For those of you who are done, you can begin the next piece, and that is to look for the commonalities. Are there any themes that showed up? Maybe you noticed that 3 people were courageous, that 2 people were loving. So you want to inquire into like, what is it about all of these people that you respect and admire? Love, work ethic, strength and care for saving life, second chance to become a better person, love, care, and support. Yeah, they know their values, their why. They're up to something. It's often very hard to respect and admire somebody who's not up to something. Kind, genuine, fearless, talented, beautiful, Jennifer. Thank you. So humans are kind of funny. We tend to respect and admire that in which we were born to express, meaning we're kind of like mirrors. Because all those people on that list, they've got other qualities. You know, they were perhaps good partners. They were perhaps great students. They were perhaps funny, but you never even saw that part of them. Maybe you did, but you just don't respect and admire that. But what you wrote down is actually a reflection of what's inside. Now, these can be fully realized virtues. So for me, I've got 4 virtues: integrity, compassion, wonder. Integrity, compassion, wonder, and courage. So for me, courage and wonder are fully realized. You know, I'm a man of great privilege. Like, I have taken many risks and have not had to, you know, face too many consequences for that. So I love boldness. Like, it's just, it's natural, it's normal. I'm always creating, always leading, always challenging. You know, I'm just out there. Same thing with wonder. I love spacing out. Like, I love whales, sci-fi, science fiction. Like, I can spend all of my time spacing out about platonic concepts and alien civilizations and whatever. But for me, integrity and compassion are not native. So I have to work my ass off on expressing those virtues. But I know that they're mine. They are mine, but they are not fully realized. So you might see that some of these virtues, like, yep, that's just who I am. Like, I'm caring, I know that in my heart, I care, or I love. But others, like, I'm talented. Well, I think I'm talented. I just don't know what it is I'm talented in yet. So that might be a latent virtue that needs to be developed. So within virtues are kind of homework assignments as well. Like, oh, yeah, how do I bring more care and compassion to my marriage? How do I bring more creativity to my job? How do I, so there's invitations layered in to the DNA of these virtues. So I invite you to choose 2, maybe 3, but no more than 3. 3 that are going to be your working draft of what your virtues are. Just the first ones. So like, yeah, these ones feel right to me. Like, if I lived my life and I was known by these virtues, even if I accomplished nothing, it would still be worth it. As Maya Angelou said, people won't remember what you did or said. They'll remember how you made them feel. So if you show up as loving presence, if you show up as encouragement and purpose, even if no fruit comes from your efforts, it'll still have made a difference with everybody that you connect with. Creative and courageous. I love it, Valeria. Oh, CC loves my poster. I'm a huge Elizabeth Warren fan. might say I have a crush. Thank you. That's what that poster is back there from her campaign. Okay. So now we're going to do, as promised, Purpose Mad Libs. So I'm going to go ahead and type this into the chat so you can all see it. So you're going to say, as a, man, woman, human, citizen, whatever, of, and you're going to put in your top virtues. I create a world of your vision. So I invite you to write a draft right now. So for me, as a man of integrity and compassion, I create a flourishing world. So it's right there in the chat. So you're gonna smash together your virtues and vision into one statement. So it's, as a man, woman, human, citizen of the cosmos, earthling, Ed, whatever it is, of your virtues. So courage, determination, creativity, whatever that is. You create, or I create, a world of, then you put in your vision, peace, harmony, prosperity, whatever that is. So this is a draft. It's always a draft. It is never final. So don't try to make it perfect, because it will never be perfect. It will always take on new meaning for you and need to be refined. So especially as you awaken the other 8 aspects of your purpose, you might feel compelled to put some other things in there. So right now I'm working, so this is like basically training wheels purpose statement. Oh, I love this, Mark. I was a man of integrity, care, and trust. Trust is a beautiful word. I create a world of connection. Awesome. Thank you. And feel free to drop your draft here into the chat window. Now, what you can do with this is your Lady Justice. I don't know if you all have this in other countries, but we have this in the United States. It's like a lady who has got a scale of justice. And your purpose statement is right there in the center. So as you're thinking about big decisions, should I ask for the promotion, or should I go look for another job? Should I stay with my partner, or should I dump him? Should I, should I move to this new neighborhood or not? You want to check in with your purpose statement. Which choice, so I'm going to use Nikki here for a second. Which choice is more aligned with power, resiliency, and love, and creates a world of freedom? So it's beyond your pro-con list of your ego, right? You're just looking at, which one moves me closer into alignment with my purpose statement? So this is a decision-making tool. You know, it's a proxy for your guidance. So eventually over time, it'll just occur for you that you'll have that intuitive connection to your soul, your purpose, and it will guide you. But this is essentially how you build the muscle memory, by having a code, a statement. Now, I also encourage that you make this part of your morning ritual, whatever that is. You can simply tape it on your coffee mug, your laptop screen, your bathroom mirror as you're brushing your teeth. All right, how am I going to show up with more care and courage and resiliency today? How am I going to create a world of peace and contribution? So when you begin the day with purpose, doesn't mean that the whole day is going to be on purpose. I mean, you're going to get sidetracked. There's going to be breakdowns. I mean, we're in a freaking global pandemic. It's not going to like all of a sudden be awesome. But at least you'll have some guidance. So it is said in this kind of purpose soul space that your purpose is a connection between your heart and the world. So the world is going to keep screwing up. I mean, we're probably in this recession for a very long time. And it's going to keep revealing injustice, keep revealing unworkability, keep revealing exploitation. So that's going to go all over the place. But this is not. So you can still choose to respond from purpose, no matter what the hell is happening out there. So in a sense, like you're always rebuilding that bridge between the world as it is and what's true in your heart. Oh, thank you, Cece. That's very sweet of you. So it's a decision-making tool and a ritual. So I invite you, if you have a ritual, make this part of your ritual in the morning. You can always come back to it too when there's a big decision to make, like which one more fully expresses my purpose. Now, lastly, this isn't over. Purpose is it's a life sentence. You don't get to leave this workshop and never explore it again. Because if you do, that purpose statement is going to get stale. So my invitation is to keep pulling the threads, keep reading good books, keep working with guides, teachers, keep spending time in nature. Nature is an incredible conduit for soul. The more time you spend outside in an intentional way, the deeper that connection is going to be between you and your purpose. Oh, book recommendations, got tons. So I've written a few. I'll drop a couple here, and I'll drop my favorite books. So Planet on Purpose is mine. And then there's also Care of the Soul, Fate and Destiny. And women will love this one. I loved it too, but it really speaks to women. Women Who Run with the Wolves. It's so powerful. I read this because, my business has been mostly with women. I'm like, I should understand the female journey to purpose. I read it, I was crying. I'm like, this is me. My femininity was repressed too. Like all that is there for us men. So to become a whole man, we've got to incorporate all of us. That includes our feminine dimensions. And so that was beautiful. All right, so I'm going to put these three in. I also recommend, if you like podcasts, Living Myth by Michael Mead. He also wrote Fate and Destiny. He's one of our true elders. It's a great podcast. And then if you want to stay in community with other people who are on purpose, I want to make that available to you too. So there's a great community of my colleagues. So the people who I respect most in this field, because there's a lot of folks who say they do purpose work. Every coach and consultant is now suddenly a purpose coach. But there's not that many people who have been trained, not that many people who are good at it. There's probably only about 300 people in the whole world that are trained purpose coaches and guides. And the folks who I most respect are part of this community called Bison Medicine. So I'll drop this here. And what Bison Medicine is a worldwide community of purpose-driven professionals. So folks who want to have a complete union with their career and their hearts, who want to live their purpose at work, make the contribution that is theirs to make. So bringing forth their greatest gifts, making the impact that is most aligned, and having relationships that are also purposeful, where everybody's got a relationship to their purpose. And so you can stand for my purpose, and I can stand for your purpose. Like, hey, Matt, I know your values, man. That wasn't really who you are. You'd be like, oh yeah, thanks, Brandon. I can do better. I can express my values in a better way. Do I believe in the science of the soul? I don't really know. I've not heard that phrase, but I relate to myself as having a soul, and I believe in science. So probably, I don't know. But so Bison Medicine is it's a global online community of purpose-driven professionals, and we have monthly Zoom calls. There's a private Slack channel. There's quarterly purpose sprints. There's an annual vision board party, and you get to ask guides questions. So all of these purpose experts are here for you to ask or to answer any question you have about purpose, living it. How do you bring it into your career and your relationships and your health? And so if you're interested, feel free to check it out. First month's free, and then after that, it's $20 a month. So it's really reasonable. And I just want to thank all of you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for saying yes to your purpose. Thank you, Mo, for creating the space and inviting me into it. It's such a beautiful, beautiful community of souls here you have here, Mo. And I just honor you for being a magnet for soulful, loving, purposeful people. Yeah, and you can obviously stay connected with me, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter. I'm kind of everywhere online these days. And that's it. So I wish you a very purposeful evening if you're in Europe, Middle East, Africa. And oh, thanks for the clap. And I invite you to take yourself off mute and just check out with one word. What's one thing you're present to right now? So right now I'm present to gratitude. Feel free to take yourself off mute and just, all of y'all, let's get messy. Let's just scream what we're present to.
I'm present to contentment.
Contentment. Thank you. Connection, gratitude.
Mm-hmm. Gratitude.
Gratitude. Thank you.
Being able to still, feel grateful and happy even despite everything else that's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Gratitude, positivity, and compassion for me.
Thank you. Gratitude, compassion, positivity, connection, says Leanne. All right, rock and roll. Y'all know what to do. It's a life sentence. Don't ignore it. Take care, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks so much, Brandon.
Thank you,
My
Brandon.
pleasure. Take care.